Hello, good evening, and welcome to our first Astro Clearing Circle. Valen and I are so happy to have you all here with us on recording and live online this evening. We're going to be meeting the first Wednesday of the month. So it'll be similar to our new moon circle schedule, just won't be following the new moon exactly. This month, of course, it is following the new moon. And that may be true for a couple of months. The schedule actually is in your back library in the archive. And if you are a New Moon Circle member, you are automatically an Astro Clearing member as well. So you'll be receiving the Zoom link. It's free. And so we welcome you and we welcome your friends and anyone whom you think would enjoy. And Valen, is there anything that you wanted to say before we do actually, did you want to do a quick kind of overview or would you?
Yeah, I think that would be a great idea. Oh, yeah, I can start it. This is something that Sasha and I have been playing with and working with individual clients where I look at a chart and Sasha does the Mason method balancing and clearing as we're exploring someone's chart. So it's really powerful, really fun, really wonderful work. So out of that came this desire to bring this, work with this in a circle. So it's really very much like we were doing for New Moon Circle. We're going to be, I've looked at the chart, I've pulled out something for this month that seems potent, seems, a good thing for clearing. It's it's not maybe the biggest thing that's happening this month, but it's something that's happening this month, first time in 250 years, which I will tell you about. And Sasha is going to do some clearing and set intentions. So it's very similar to New Moon, but we're not actually looking at a new moon chart this time. So something a little bit different.
Yeah. And one of the things this allows us to do is it allows us to have a certain amount of flexibility because we do have some very intense and very active energies impacting us in the sky over the next several months, years, in fact. And so we thought that it would be really fun to have some flexibility around that. We won't be really intense on the astrology, but if, of course, as you all know already, Belen is a certified astrologer. So if you have astrology questions, please feel free to jump in. We will have a Q&A at the half hour where we'll turn off the recording and we'll support the folks who are here live online to ask more questions or to get additional energy rebalancing. So with all of that, let's just take a moment before we get started. Take one hand on the belly and one hand on the heart. And you may want to just give yourself a little gentle rub. We are at the end of what some people call hump day. So that sometimes challenging part of the week, if you're a working person who is on a schedule that is demanding or that where other people are demanding your time in some way, shape, or form, it can be really nice to just take this time midweek, late afternoon, depending on where you are. So we've got a lot of West Coast folks where it's going to be a little bit earlier for you in the day, kind of around lunch hour. We have Alaska folks where it's really actually just a late lunch for them. So lots of different time zones, but just taking a moment here in the middle of your week and allowing yourself to feel your hand on your heart touching your hand, and then bringing the breath in through the nose, nice and cool, up into the sinuses, and then feeling the warmth of the air coming down, out through the nose, warm and moist. And just bringing your awareness to your presence, being present to yourself, presence to your seat, really allowing that tail to drop, allowing the shoulders to drop, allowing those shoulder blades to slide down your back a little bit. And then from here, I'm going to hand it over to Valen to share our transforming our future.
So some of you will have heard some of this already, not everyone. As of January 20th, Pluto moved into Aquarius. That's the big astrology for the next 20 years. And as that has happened, this month, February, all of the personal planets are touching Pluto in Aquarius for the first time in about 250 years. So what that means, Pluto is about empowerment, about transformation, it's about deep healing, death and rebirth. It's about going into the shadow. It's about empowering ourselves in new ways. And each of our personal planets is a little more day-to-day kind of sort of thing. And so what we're getting the opportunity is to feel out this, what this feels like, this energy feels like for us for the first time in our lives, and how we're using our energy almost in a day-to-day way. What do things feel like? So part of this time is recognizing that the very beginning of a sign is a time when we are planting seeds. We're beginning something that we haven't done before. And in this case, it's a 20-year cycle. So the idea is to actually be conscious and intentional on what seeds we are planting. What are our intentions moving forward? What does this new energy feel like? How are we embodying it? How does that work for us in our day-to-day life? So what we've done is we've chosen one planet, Venus, which I'll tell you, connecting to Pluto, and how we can work with that. And Sasha will do some energy balancing with that. So basically, Pluto has moved into Aquarius, the planet of power, transformation, deep healing. And Aquarius is about being our authentic self, following our ideals, our future vision for ourselves, being our own individual. And in that, it's a very much a humanitarian and an altruistic sign, being in that as we align to who we truly are. This is who I am. This feels good. This is what I need to be doing. We actually contribute to the collective by literally being as authentic as we can. So that empowers us. So the first piece is Venus meeting Pluto in Aquarius. It's actually going to happen exactly Feb 17th, but we feel it before and after that. So I put up the two pictures because in some ways you can see Venus is lovely and it's light and it's sweet and it's pretty, and Pluto is deep and intense and powerful. So Venus is the planet of love, of all relationships, of money, of beauty, of art, anything beautiful, harmonious, what we like. And then Pluto is the power of this deep transformation, this renewal, this death and rebirth, going into our shadow to be empowered. And when I look at these two images together, I'm thinking, well, how do we empower our relationships? How do we deepen our connections? How do we feel empowered around our money, our finances? How do we create, or what's our creativity look like as we deepen who we are, as we dive into ourselves and see what may have been tucked away for that deep healing? All of these pieces are being touched in a new way in our life. And Aquarius is the sign of altruism and the collective and new ideas, futuristic. And I often think of it as a higher vibration. Aquarius, high vibration. So we're literally embodying a whole new vibration, a whole new frequency. So we can do that in love, in money, in relationships, in our creativity, and recognize the depth of where we can go now in this part of our life, how we can deepen and look at the places that are hidden from us as we do that.
I thought it was really interesting too. Last night in Inner Wisdom Circle, we were talking about how a different piece of this story, how we're actually working with energy in a new way where we don't have a language for it. Mm-hmm. Right, Ellen? And I suddenly was reminded of love languages. And I know that a number of people here are familiar with love languages. And the idea of how we might be using our love languages differently, or how they might be showing up differently, or how we might be responding or reacting to our love language or love languages differently.
Yeah, and I'm actually, as you said that, I was just thinking Pluto itself can be very, very intense. It can be really deep, and even in terms of how we communicate our love language may deepen, may be more intense than normal. And it's part of that new, finding our way in this new energies and what that feels like, and maybe not having the word, maybe the words that we used to use don't work the same way because we're charting this whole new path. We've planted the seed, but the seed isn't, it hasn't blossomed. We don't even know what that is going to look like. So that, yeah, that's a beautiful reflection on that.
And now I want to do a whole exploration of that. Next thing. Doesn't want to change. Come on.
So this is the same theme. Oh,
there it is.
So Venus is about what we value. So making meaningful connections with ourselves as well as others. And who and what we attract to ourselves in our life. This is a time where we actually, in that higher vibration, can say, this is what I want to attract into my life. And it offers real insights because Venus is around relationships, who supports you and how you choose to be supported. So literally attracting to you now those people who are going to support your future vision of what you want to embody, what you want to become, what you want to, new path that you're going to chart for yourself, you know, moving forward. So there's certain parts of our life that are going to be impacted by a Venus Pluto coming together in the sky. So part of that is, you know, what you value and what's important and how that empowers you to really recognize that. To examine how you love yourself, your own self-worth, how do you take care of that? Where do you feel empowered and where do you feel disempowered around that? Anything to do with finances and money. So in a chart, Venus and Pluto can be big money, but it also can be really intense around finances. So those are pieces that, you know, it's going to be different for everyone, can be part of the story. That deepening of creativity. So that's that sense of whatever it is that's creative. It can even be cooking, it doesn't matter. Whatever it is, doesn't have to be beautiful works of art like I put on the screen. Recognizing how we deepen into it, how we drop into that. And anytime when I think about creativity, I think about how it touches that place inside of us, the hidden places, and it's a way to express what is hidden in us in some form of beauty. It's also about connecting to others, and certainly in Aquarius, who is your soul group now? Who are your friends? What's your tribe? Who supports you? So there's a deepening of connection of the people that you draw around you who are going to support who you are becoming now. And because Pluto dives deep and the treasures are in the depth, when you think about the Earth, it's a time to allow yourself to go into the deep places where we've tucked away things that are hidden, shame, secrets, old patterns, anything that, you know, we often don't want to look at. This is a time in general, particularly in February, to take the courage to do that. And, you know, with Venus, maybe talk to a trusted person to explore this, draw the people to you who are able to go to those deep places. So that's part of the Venus, Pluto in Aquarius energies that we're working with. And Sasha's going to take us into the money piece to do some clearing and some exploration about how we resource ourselves.
Great. So that's not to say that you can't use this time to look at some other aspect of this Venus energy for you. So if the self-love and self-worth piece is coming up more strongly for you than the finances piece, or if the creativity piece is really coming up, or if there is a kind of a community, like a soul group, friends. I know that some of you recently moved, and so you may be looking at that new tribe, new soul group piece that may be more relevant for you at this point. So don't feel as though you have to do money, but we have chosen to take money at this time and work with it specifically tonight. If Belen and I were doing a one-on-one session of astro-clearing, we would be working with your particular chart, and Belen would be pulling out your particular pieces around Venus or other aspects that are showing up for you, and you would be really driving the bus in terms of making a decision around what areas of your life feel as though they're being most impacted at this time. So just understand that that's really the distinct difference between doing that, doing the astral clearing as an individual experience, an individual session, a one-on-one session, or in this particular case as a group. So we just wanted to review the energy of Aquarius and how when you take a look at that Aquarian symbol, and this was introduced to me fairly recently, this idea of the stable wave. A few years back, when Uranus, which is the planet that rules Aquarius, when Uranus just landed in Taurus, there were some really extreme physical things happening on the planet. And one thing that was happening was called a rogue wave. And these are things that happen, I guess, on the regular. But it just so happened to be something that I found out about. And Valen and I were talking about it, and we felt as though kind of the whole year, I can't remember if that was 2020, Valen, or 2021, but it felt like the whole year.
That was actually 2018 when it actually went into.
Okay, so then
we might have been talking about it 2020.
Yeah, it was even earlier, and it felt like the whole year was a rogue wave. And so it's really interesting now to come to this place of really looking at this energy as a stable wave. And one of the ideas of the stable wave is if you feel into the sense of how your intention, we work with intentions a lot, your intention is the energy that's flowing out, and your desire is the energy that is being drawn back in. So intention is that energy moving outward, and desire is that energy that is receptive. And so looking at that stable wave, we can think about how everything in our life, whether it's friendship or home or money or career pieces or creative pieces or relationships, whatever it is, it has its own frequency. And your experience of it will be distinct because of the frequency that you bring to it. So that's that, again, that give and take relationship that is always there. And so when we look at that, we think, oh my goodness, what an easy flow that is. I could just stand right on top of one of those mountain peaks and just achieve anything that I want. And I think that's the idea with it. I feel like that's the idea with it. But there's something that stops us. Otherwise, we wouldn't do this work. That stops us from being an easy flow. That's what we refer to as the distortion, which disrupts that wave. What are the distortions? Emotions, beliefs, patterns, trauma, life experiences, past life experiences, whatever. So those are the distortions that are unhelpful to us. So if we were going to just pluck out that one aspect that we're working with tonight, the one Venus aspect, that's going to be impacting all of us in about 10 days or so. It's going to be impacting us differently, of course, but we'll all be feeling it in one way or another. I thought it would be helpful for us to take a look at what the unhelpful statements are that you, or in this case, I use the I statement so that we could all own it ourselves. So you can ask yourself, what unhelpful statements do I currently make in my head? And most importantly, out loud. So again, we need to remember that frequency, sound is a frequency. And sound actually has been proven to impact your genes, your genetic structure. So when you speak out loud, you're actually impacting your physical being. Witches have known this for a long time, right? Incantations, invocations. So what are we incanting? What are we invocating? What are we affirming? Are we saying on the regular things like, oh, I can't afford that, saying that inside your head or out loud? Or you might think to yourself, just an internal idea, I struggle to make ends meet. Or if something comes your way, you might say, oh, I don't have the money to do that thing that I really want. I don't have the money to take that course. I don't have the money to buy that book. I don't have the money to go on that trip. That's something we might say easily to a friend or in circle in a group or to a family member. Or if somebody comes to us and says, I saw this thing, or I saw this experience, I looked at possibly going on this experience, and it seems like a crazy price. And the two of you agree that it's too expensive. That's a common conversation that we have. Or this idea of needing more money. I need to make more money. I need to earn more money. I need more money. This idea of need, when we bring that idea of need in, that's that feeling of empty, needing, right? Like I need a glass of water. If I say I need a glass of water, wow, actually, where is my glass of water? Saying I need a glass of water, that's, I suddenly feel thirsty when we say that, right? So it does impact us and we may not realize it. So I want you to take a look at these. These are just samples. You for sure have your own. I want you to take a look at these. And if something comes up for you, either one of these is appropriate, just use the number and put it in the chat. Or if you come up with your own thing, something, it's not even necessarily something you say, but it might be something your partner says, something your parent says, something your friend says, something your sibling says, something your neighbor, that you regularly hear your neighbor say. There's an expression out here in the country, are you working hard or hardly working? Right? So these expressions that float around in our community. Is there one that comes to mind around money or worth or value? So just pop it into the chat. And Valen, maybe you'll take a look at them and just read them out so that I'm not messing up the screen here. And we don't have to talk about who's saying them, just what they are.
Yeah, we've got a couple of threes, and not me in this lifetime, which is lovely.
Awesome. Okay, beautiful. So let's look at I don't have the money to do that. That's such a common one, right? Or even just, I can't afford to do that right now, right? That's such a common one. So we can use that. So I'm also going to ask for everybody's permission to do energy testing and also energy rebalancing with you today. So if you would prefer not to have that done, then just put that, just put a no in the chat. Otherwise, I'm going to make a presumption that anybody who is here live online this evening or who is joining us on recording is giving tacit permission for me to do that. So I'm going to check and see. So it's holding that what we want to do is work with this sentence, I don't have the money to do that. So what I have is I have some, a list of emotions, and I'm just going to do a quick check to see what emotion is popping up that needs to be cleared. So I'm on the emotion code chart. So I'm coming up with the energy of wishy-washy. So that's that feeling of non-committal, right? And oftentimes this idea of I don't have the money to do that or I can't do that right now is a lack of commitment to self. And so that's a perfect Venus energy reference because of that self-love and self-worth piece, right? So we're just gonna, all of us, we can do this together again, just a reminder that nobody can see you because of the way that we're doing the recording. And so for those of you watching on recording, just rub your hands together, remembering that you are an electromagnetic being. And then you're just gonna draw those hands over the top of your head. And at the same time, you're going to say clearing and releasing. Oh, I can see some of you are yawning already. So that's where that energy is moving. You're gonna say clearing and releasing the energy of wishy-washy. Clearing and releasing the trapped emotion of wishy-washy. You can say it out loud if you want, so that you can hear yourself say it. Clearing and releasing all of the roots and all of the origins of wishy-washy across all lifetimes, and especially in this lifetime, across all time and space, across all dimension, throughout all worlds and all aspects of self. I'm going to use a magnet. I like to use a magnet for this, but it's the same idea. Clearing and releasing wishy-washy. So now I'm just going to check and see wishy-washy has been released. Yes, it has. Okay, is there another energy around I don't have money to do that? No, I don't. Okay, no, there isn't. So I'm just going to check in and see, okay, none of us are holding for that anymore. So you just don't have that energy sticking to you anymore. Yahoo. Okay. Now we're going to look at supports. What supportive beliefs will the future me hold when my desires have been fulfilled? So we haven't talked about what those desires are, but I want you to just take something that's right at the surface for you, right there, something that you've been kind of working with, dealing with, thinking about, whatever it is, maybe something that you're healing from. I just want you to think about that. And we're going to work with some of these energies. I have everything I need and more. I'm financially healthy or secure. I attract all kinds of money in all sorts of wonderful ways. Money empowers me to do all the things I really love to do, or I love how money fully supports me to fill in the blank for you. Now, what I'm going to suggest is, if money is not the thing for you in this lifetime, good on you, fabulous. If this isn't an issue for you, just change the word from money to friendship, money to love, money to intimate partner, right? Those are all Venus energies that we can work with at the same time. It doesn't have to be just money. And if you want to use the fifth one, I love how friendship fully supports me to fulfill whatever. I love how my spiritual practice and in connection in community with others fully supports me to fulfill whatever it is, my expanding heart, right? Whatever it is for you. You can just fill that in whatever way you wish. Okay, so I'm going to check and see if there are any of these that need balancing. No, they don't. Okay, so the idea here is to really connect in with that positive statement, that affirmation. And I'm just going to check and see if everybody's holding for the affirmation that you've chosen. Okay, and is there anything else that needs to be cleared here? No, and any positive energy? No. Okay, so I just double checked to see if there was any positive vibration that needed to be installed before we move on to our intention, and there isn't. And just a reminder that when you do affirmations can be tricky. People have a slightly different idea about how to use them. They are helpful once you have cleared the blocks that keep you from fully embodying and feeling them. So that was why I was checking to see that we were all good and clear for holding for any of those affirmations. And if you're doing a Venus-related affirmation, as Belen talked about, then you're good. I checked in to see that there are no blocks. And that's partially because we cleared that wishy-washy piece earlier. So just check in around your affirmation and always use the I am statement. It's the most powerful way to have an affirmation. So going back, I have everything I need and more. So I am completely fulfilled. I am financially secure, and so on. So using those I am statements are really powerful for affirmations. So finally, at the top of our hour, we have our intention. And we could actually would you like to take, Belen, about 3 minutes at the end and just sit in a group with our intention?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, let's do it. Okay. So those of you who have spent time with us in New Moon Circle know that we love to do group intention time. And so we can do that this evening with this intention container. So what we're going to be doing with ASTRO-CLEARING Circle, which is a little bit different from the New Moon Circle intention, is that in the New Moon Circle, we just created an intention for you to have, for you to use. With this particular style, what we're looking to do is we are creating an intention container. So we've created the intention language around the idea that we're going to intend. And then it's up to you to fill in the blank. So we could use a Venus-related piece, and that's the intention tonight, is we're going to use a Venus-related piece. But I encourage you to fill in the blank with whatever is coming up for you at this time, this evening. Okay, so here's the intention container. We're going to start with the language that is most supportive, and that's why we've used I am language. And we've made it personal so that you can say it out loud to yourself. Okay, we encourage you, if you're watching on recording, to do this now. My intention is that I am fully empowered by the free-flowing, fill in the blank of whatever it is that you're looking for. So we could say monetary abundance. We could say intimate love. We could say deep friendship. We could say a tribe that fully supports me. right? So my intention is that I'm fully empowered by the free flowing, just going to say monetary abundance in my precious life through my connection to divine source in greatest good for all. Now I'm just going to encourage you to sit with that. You can read it back to yourself as many times as you like. We're just going to keep the screen here. And I encourage you to close your eyes and go into just a gentle meditative space for yourself. Bella-Ann is going to time us for about 3 minutes, and we're going to sit together and just see what comes up for you. Maybe you'll see things, maybe you'll feel things, maybe you'll hear things. If you don't, that's okay. Just notice for yourself and see where that takes you. Okay, beautiful. So I'm just going to encourage everybody to take a moment, if it feels right to you, to journal or jot any awarenesses down, any notes. And while you do that, I'm just going to check in to see if there are any blocks for you in whatever intention it is that you held for yourself. And I'm going to clear that so that you've got a nice clean road ahead with your intention. So I'm just checking in to see if there are any blocks, anything that needs to be cleared for the intentions that each one of you held. Okay, so everybody's holding 100% for your intention. Okay, so thanks very much for joining us this evening. It's been a beautiful time of sharing and moving some energy together. We encourage you to listen to this again whenever you feel the need, and to use that energy rebalancing around those different phrases that feel like they may be getting stuck for you, particularly around those Venus energies. And it may include the kind of relationship that you're developing right now, or relationships that you've already had. It may include pieces of your own self-worth or inner resourcing, the way that you value yourself. So you can play with that and use these affirmations and also this intention in a way that works best for you. Thanks again for sharing and being present. And we will see you again next on the 6th of March.